Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast with me, Nikki Raby. I began this podcast in 2018 and I've produced over 400 episodes with an emphasis on dreaming and doing. But I know there is so much more to building a business and life that you love. It's definitely a work in progress. For the last 25 years, I've built a portfolio career as an actor, personal branding coach, writer, speaker, and podcaster. I love my pick and mix and curating my personal brand. I want to support you to create success on your terms. I've helped over 1,000 people to build a personal brand, and yes, I will be sharing with you business strategies around planning, packaging, presenting, and propelling your personal brand. But there is so much more to my work than that. I'm not interested in formulas, templates, or sleazy pants sales techniques. You know the ones. Instead, how would it feel to do things your way that align with your personality, circumstances, and goals? I'm going to be sharing conversations with some of my favorite people who are creating success on their terms to provide inspiration and encouragement. Also, there will be mini episodes where I take you behind the scenes, sharing how-tos, my coaching toolkit, chats about mindset, money, building momentum, and all through storytelling. After all, my clients have been known to call me the Queen of Analogies. So, thank you in advance for spending some time with me. Feel free to subscribe to be notified of the next episodes and follow across social media at Nikki Raby. You can catch up on previous episodes via my website, nikkiRaby.com, and also pick and mix, if you like, from my freebie shop. Right, let's crack on and start today's episode. Hello, it's Nikki. Sounded like my phone voice then. Hello, it's Nikki. Do you remember when we used to say, going off on a completely different note. Do you remember when people used to say their phone numbers as they picked up the phone? My nana still said, well, my nana's just moved into a care home, but before that, she would say the numbers. I'm not going to give you my nana's digits because I know better than that with this hocus pocus world of the internet. Anyway, moving on. How are you? I hope you're good. I hope things are fine and well where you are. Right, today I am explaining a decision around a certain pricing move that I've made recently. Pricing move makes me feel like I'm kind of, a breakdancer or something like that, like want to see my pricing move. But this might be useful for you. Now, one of the things that comes up with pricing all the time is, what do I charge? What do I charge? And I remember when this is the thing. I've invested, that word, for goodness sake, I've invested in my career, in my personal and my business development for nearly 25 years now, a really long time. And I've always had to do that. How much does it cost? Or looking at things on the internet, doing a bit of research, thinking about things, and then going back and then maybe purchasing, maybe not, maybe running for the hills. And I remember in about 2004, phoning a photographer, because that's what you used to do. Nobody had websites or anything like that. Phoning a photographer and asking how much his headshot session was. And it was £750 plus VAT. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, that is a lot of money. And I think at that point I'd paid about 300. So yeah, I was kind of doing those maths and thinking, that's not for me. And then of course you start to look at their portfolio and things and you're like, no, maybe not for me. But this is the thing with pricing, is it has to feel good to you. And I know when you are doing this yourself, you don't want to say, oh no, but can you just tell me the right answer? Can you just let me know what you do? Or you might go and look at somebody else's price and go, well, they're charging that per hour, so I'm going to do that. Well, this week I have thrown carefully considered and curated a £5 product into my pricing menu. So I'm not expecting you to be familiar with all of my prices, but you may well be. So I offer lots of stuff at lots of different price points. And some of the stuff is equal, but some of it involves things that people can do independently, or if they work with me one-on-one, there's lots of things to choose from. And this is or has been, a really interesting process. And it's certainly not something I could have done in the beginning. So when I was starting out as a coach 10 years ago, I was saying to myself, right, I'm going to offer 1, 3, or 6 sessions. And this is what I'm going to charge for 1. And then I'm going to times it by 3. And then I'm going to times it by 6. And that's kind of how I did my pricing. And how I got, and I think my first price for an hour was £49. Because I equated, and this is interesting, and again, this is a money block and a process that you work through. I didn't think that I could charge any more than 50 quid because I'd never, oh gosh, I'm really sharing all the stuff today. I didn't feel like I could charge more than 50 quid because I'd never paid more than 50 quid for an hour session. So I thought about things that I'd bought, so I'd never spent more than 50, this is 10 years ago, I'd never spent more than 50 quid on my hair, for example, which takes about an hour. I'd never spent more than 50 quid on a massage. I'd never spent more on a cleaner for an hour. There were so many things that kind of came into my decision. And then ultimately what I was doing was I was charging and selling 6 sessions for 300 quid. And what I had to do was slowly build up and feel it out. And this is the thing with pricing. It's going to be one of those that even though you want to, I'm going to give you another visual here because I love this one. It really helps me. Even though you want to walk round a cold lake and say to your pal, I wonder how cold that is. Wonder how deep that is. Do you think you could touch the bottom? Ooh, how far is it to the other side? Sometimes there comes a moment where you can only make decisions and truly get the full experience by getting in yourself. And that's the thing with pricing that I always say to clients, especially when they're starting out, of what can you charge first? What feels good to say out loud, to accept the money? And I'm talking about the energetics here, because you might want to say, yeah, I cost £10,000 an hour. But if you're not selling 10 grand an hour, because let's face it, there's people out there who are very happy with accepting oodles and oodles of money for very little work. And they understand, rightly or wrongly, their value, and they can make peace with that, and they're able to do that. And so when I was thinking about this, and when I've been advising clients, I really get them to say that price out loud. I really go into detail as to why they are doing that. Why is that price particularly prevalent for that particular offering, for that particular ideal client? Why, basically. And I realized when I launched my Speak Up, and it started much cheaper, and as I've talked about on another episode about having a beta version, but now it's at a spot of £600. And one of the things that I came up with when I was going back and forth, and there is a sort of VIP option with me too, which is more, I knew that if people did what I did and followed it step by step, and had that sense of actually doing the work, I knew that they would be able to make that money back within one speaking gig. Because me personally, I have made £600 on numerous occasions for one speaking gig. And so for me, that felt like a good exchange because I could justify it. I was just thinking, gosh, even if, they've really sort of felt like they need to do it, and they've had to, maybe they were going to have a new bathroom and they're not doing that now because they're thinking, right, I've got to do this speaking course. I know I want to do that. I know that if they follow that step by step, they can get that money back fairly quickly from a speaking gig. So in my head, that works really well. On the other hand, let's talk about the process that I had when I created this new training. So it's all about, can you hear the traffic? I'm so sorry. It's all about creating and planting the seeds of your next idea. Now, this podcast is free for you, and I have created over 400 episodes. And so I know that I will always have that free content version or layer, I guess, of my business. Because I have a big mission and I'm not going to sort of say one of those sort of standard things, and I probably should be able to say it in a snappy couple of sentences, but we're not there yet. But basically, I really feel that I want to help as many people as possible from where they are at. And I've seen that as I've grown up, that when I was starting out, especially as an actor, I didn't know anyone. I didn't, and I remember going to teachers and asking for their support or asking for their advice, or saying, I've done this research and I've got the prospectus for this place and this place. Which do you think is better? What have you got to say on this? What questions should I be asking? And even though I was sort of the younger one in that situation, I felt like I was still making a lot of those decisions myself, because they somehow just didn't have the information that I required. And so now at this age and stage of my career, I feel on a mission. If I can help somebody out, if I can open a door for the next person, or with some beautiful boundaries, let's not mess about here. You know, there have been some times where, some interesting requests have been made. Let's just leave it at that. But asking myself, how can I support that person? Is there somebody else I can recommend? How can I kind of join the dots? And for me, I feel really passionate about ideas, and I am often, and I've seen this pattern a lot in my life, I am often the person in the family or friendship group that knows something quite early on. So somebody might say, I just had to tell somebody and I just wanted to, I can't tell anybody else, but I just wanted to let you know. So I always seem to keep secrets for ages about people who are pregnant, or businesses that have been launching, or somebody saying, we're buying a house, but oh my goodness, nobody knows yet, but we're just letting you know, or we're thinking about moving, or I got this job and I can't tell anybody. And ideas, to me, my goodness, they're just such my jam. And I tell you what, I get really frustrated with this sense, or with this societal expectation, that as we get older, we are almost boxed in this place of well, if it hasn't happened now, or you just got to like it or lump it, or how are you going to have time to do that? You've got enough on your plate, all these negative connotations. But I always think, even though I have all of those things, of course, if I put my mind to something, if I prioritize something, if I keep going long enough with something, if I keep asking the right questions, I'll get there. And I'm a firm believer in that you have to chip away at something. And if you've got your focus way into the distance and you're making strides each and every day, sooner or later you're going to get there. Sometimes you might go the back way and go, oh no, how did I end up here when I was supposed to be over there? That happens sometimes. But there is a sense that it could be possible. And I never want it to be the case that somebody gives up too soon, or they eliminate themselves from the situation, from that possibility. It's probably, no, I don't have time. I don't have the money. How would I even start? And so this framework that I've created, I wanted to take it through the steps and for you to be able to give it a go just for a £5. And so when I was pricing this, let's go back to the pricing conversation, I wanted it to be the equivalent of maybe saying to your partner and kids, or maybe to your pals, or maybe you take your mum shopping every Saturday morning, and saying, do you mind if between the hours of 10 and 11, I'm unavailable? Because I really need to go and explore this idea. Because I really owe it to my idea, and I'm getting emotional thinking about this. I really owe it to all these thoughts and feelings and stuff that I'm excited about to go and explore it further. And that's what I wanted to do in that. So when I'm talking about pricing, it's not just a one size fits all. You know, I know there's loads of entrepreneurs who you need your $9, then you need your $49, then you need your $197, then you need your $1,500 or whatever the latest thing is. They just become generic numbers. And then people question why am I not selling that? Whereas if I go back to the mission of this, I want somebody to spend an hour with me doing this audio training and go, I've got some answers now. I haven't just shelled out thousands of pounds testing something out. I've got some answers that I need. And then fast forward to a year from now, and I love it when I get these messages of, Nikki, I did it. I launched it. Or I left my job. Or I decided to start selling and testing them out at my kids' school and just got a sense of what they thought of it. But I just gave it a go. And that's what it's about. That's what it's really about. And I know we can fill our heads with all kinds of other reasons of we don't have the time, we can't do it perfectly. There's probably never going to be a time that you can do this perfectly. And that's really annoying because waiting for perfection is a fantastic excuse. But your age and stage, you're probably never going to have a year where you're do you know what? I don't have to earn any money. I can just swan around and have a lovely time and just dedicate my whole self to this. You're probably going to be in the world doing all of the things. So instead of saying to yourself, I don't have X, Y, and Z, work with what you've got. Work with what really floats your boat. Work with the possibility and give yourself that hour with this audio training if you like it. It's available now. You can go and check it out. NikkiRaby.com/shop, and it's there. It's the purple one. So you'll be able to access it. But I want to ask you, what is your mission behind your pricing? Why are you doing what you're doing? Have you priced something because you're somebody on the internet told me I should. I listened to a webinar and that's what they suggested. But even when I say it out loud, I feel really weird about it. Is that the case? If it is, absolutely no shame. I have done it as well. But this is your invitation. If you've been sitting on the fence for a little bit, go back and explore further. All right. Thank you so much for being with me today. Really appreciate it. As always, please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. There's loads of other bits and bobs in my shop as well. There's an ideal client training, loads of other good stuff. So have a look, NikkiRaby.com/shop, and I'll see you in the next episode. Lots of love. Bye.